Hi, welcome. On this video, I'd like to talk about the issue of fear aggression, how to overcome fear aggression. And just so happens I'm heading to a client's house right now to help them with overcoming that very issue. And so the problem with fear aggression, to really understand why it's such a difficult issue for people, is that it's based on the issue happening in the first place because people are not thinking properly. The dog has already gained, and with fear aggression especially, it represents a tipping point. The dog's already gained a high level of control in the relationship, and the person's thinking processes are not aligned. And so, you know, what's very typical with this, the problem with this issue is because of this issue with the reaction of the dog physically, how a dog's mind reacts, and the physical manifestation of that reaction of what is defined as fear, which is, I'll talk about this in a second, is really about stress. It causes people who are already emotionally kind of compromised, so to speak, they have a high level of emotion going on. They get locked into this type of loop they feel they can't get out of. You know, it causes more empathy, triggers even more emotion, because it's like, what's going on? The dog is scared, fearful. What do I do? Then they start avoiding, you know, again, this avoidance issue, avoiding situations, and then even try to solve it. You know, they'll do everything except for promote leadership. You'll see them, they'll look for ways to try to comfort the dog, but comfort itself becomes weakness based off of, you know, the type of thinking involved, based on what's already been established. So very, very problematic. So what you have to do, again, my goal here with session 1 with this client is to get them to reconcile what's happening. Okay, what I do is I switch this around. So instead of just thinking fear, they think stress. Okay, and the stress issues that are caused and the reaction, they're able to reconcile that reaction, so you can get them into a leadership frame of thinking, framework, parameters of thinking that way through leadership. So it's very, you know, the first goal is to get people to see it from a nature level. Okay, it's about nature. But again, it can be a very difficult issue for people because of that. And again, the reason people struggle to overcome it is because, again, there's got to be a trade-off. Usually, again, just think about this, you know, when this issue is happening, it represents a tipping point within the issue of control, and it means that person's thinking's at a tipping point. Okay, typically that person is highly emotionally compromised, so their thinking is way over, and so to bring them back, you know, get them thinking properly, can be tough, because the first thing is they're going to be seeking out, and many of them will do this, it take them a long time, they'll be seeking out everything to try to overcome it without that conforms to their way of thinking. Okay, they're not going to make that trade-off, because again, they get locked into this whole thing about what's going on, fear, they're humanizing it. But again, to get beyond it, it takes the right method, it takes the right framework, and this is what makes a system so good that way, is that it makes sense. I mean, the thing is, when things make sense, you're going to do it. Okay, when someone can sit down with you and really talk through this stuff and use certain examples, even in the human world, I'll tell you, it makes all the difference in the world. You know, it's very successful, because and typically when people contact me anyway, they're usually ready. I mean, that's a sign you're not going to be sitting and arguing with them, and that can happen with some people, but you know, that's why I set up my website a certain way too, just so people have an idea that what I'm about. And so going into it, they already know kind of what to expect, because all those things work together to help. It's very helpful, because you don't want to waste your time. People have to come to the end of themselves. That's the other point, is that you can't help people until they're ready, until they come to the end of their own thinking, and they're ready to move forward from there. So anyway, I expect a very successful session with this client. It sounds like he's ready for help, and so, you know, I'll be getting him, you know, sorted out. And even during the first session, the great thing is that people get the framework, the basic framework, right from the very start to get change happening. So, because everything's very intentional with how it comes together. So, anyway, just something about fear aggression. Again, you can't learn your way out of it. Okay, so learning theory stuff, you have to, you know, it's got to be approached through right relationship, through leadership. But then beyond that, okay, this is another major point. The method has to be specific to change. The methodology's got to line up. It can't be gappy. And I'll talk more about that in some future videos. You already have that on some other videos, but we'll be really getting into that on some other videos. I have, even on my application method videos, I talk more about that issue, about the integrity of the method, just how critical that is, especially for issues such as this. It's got to, you know, it's got to come together properly to move beyond it. So anyway, thanks for watching.
At the end of the road.